girl was gathering scraps at the market until a stranger recognized her face. Michael Thompson was walking through the fruit aisle at Central Market when he saw a little girl crouched on the floor, carefully picking up a fallen apple. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old, wearing a simple white blouse and a faded denim overall. Her brown hair was a bit messy, but she moved with a grace that caught his attention. He was about to walk on when the girl lifted her face. Michael felt as if the world had stopped. Those brown eyes, the curve of her chin, the way she tilted her head slightly to the side. It was impossible, but he knew every detail of that little face. "Lily," he whispered, more to himself than to her. The little girl looked at him fearfully and shrank further into the floor, clutching the fruit against her chest. Michael knelt down slowly, trying not to seem threatening, but his heart was pounding so hard he could barely breathe. "Sorry, sweetheart, What's your name?" She watched him warily, biting her lower lip the same way his daughter Lily used to when she was nervous. Michael felt his eyes fill with tears. It had been 5 years since he'd seen his daughter, 5 years since that terrible day at the downtown amusement park when she simply vanished into the crowd. "I don't talk to strangers," the girl replied in a small but firm voice. Michael noticed she held the apple tightly, as if it were precious. He looked around and saw no adult nearby who seemed to be with her. His chest tightened with anguish and hope at the same time. "It's okay, honey, you remind me so much of someone I know. Where are your parents?" The question made the girl's face close off completely. She stood up quickly, hiding the apple behind her back. "I have to go," she murmured, starting to walk away. "Wait." Michael stood too but kept his distance. "Please, just tell me. Is your name Lily?" The girl stopped walking and turned slowly. There was something in her eyes, a spark of recognition that lasted only a second before she shook her head. "No, my name is Emma." But Michael had seen that spark. He'd seen how she reacted to the name Lily. Every fiber of his being screamed that this was his daughter, but she clearly didn't recognize him, or pretended not to. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. "Emma," Michael repeated, testing the name. "That's a beautiful name. Do you come here often?" The girl glanced around nervously, as if searching for an escape route. Michael realized he was scaring her and took a step back. "Sorry if I'm bothering you, it's just that you look so much like my daughter. I lost her a long time ago and—" "Your daughter is lost?" Emma interrupted, and for the first time, there was genuine curiosity in her voice. Michael nodded, feeling a lump in his throat. 5 years ago, she was 3 when we got separated. She'd be about your age now." The girl studied him for a long moment, and Michael swore he saw something shift behind those familiar eyes. Memories, perhaps, or just a child's natural pity. "I really have to go," she said finally. "Aunt Susan will be mad if I'm late." "Aunt Susan?" Michael felt a flicker of hope. "Is she your family?" But Emma was already walking away, heading quickly toward the market exit. Michael followed at a distance, trying not to seem suspicious, but he needed to know where she was going. He needed to be sure. He saw her pause at the glass door and glance back one last time. Their eyes met across the busy market, and Michael knew with absolute certainty. That was Lily. "Your daughter was alive. She was right there, but for some reason she couldn't or wouldn't admit who she was." The girl disappeared into the busy street, and Michael stood frozen between the store aisles, trembling. After 5 years of fruitless searching, sleepless nights spent staring at old photos, private investigators who couldn't find a single lead, she was there, alive, healthy, but using another name and clearly afraid of him. Michael pulled his phone from his pocket with shaky hands and dialed the only number he knew by heart besides his own. "Jennifer, it's me. I need you to come here right now. I found our daughter." On the other end of the line, Jennifer Thompson dropped what she was holding. "What? Michael, are you okay? Where are you?" "At Central Market on Maple Street. Jennifer, I saw our Lily. She's alive, but something's wrong. She said her name is Emma, and she seems scared of me." Michael, honey, we've talked about this before. You've thought you saw her in other places. No. His voice came out louder than he intended, drawing a few glances. He lowered his tone. This time is different. She reacted when I said the name Lily. She recognized me, I'm sure of it. Please come here. Jennifer sighed on the other end. Over the past 5 years, Michael had had several discoveries that turned out to be false hopes. Look-alike children in parks, shopping malls, schools. The pain of loss had made him see Lily everywhere. All right, I'm on my way, but Michael, promise me you won't do anything rash. If it's really her, we need to be careful. Michael hung up and paced back and forth in the supermarket, replaying every detail of the conversation. The girl knew the name Lily, he was certain. And that tiny mark on her forehead, almost imperceptible, the one Lily got when she fell off her bike. Emma had the same mark. He decided to ask the staff if they knew the girl. The first person he approached was a woman who'd worked the register for years. "That little girl who always picks up the fruit that falls on the floor?" asked Mrs. Anderson, adjusting her glasses. "Oh yes, Emma. Poor thing, she comes here almost every day with the woman who takes care of her." "Aunt Susan." "That's right, Susan Miller. They live over in Oak Hills nearby. The girl's very polite, always asks before picking up the fallen fruit. They say Susan adopted her a few years back." Michael's heart raced. Adopted a few years ago. That could explain everything. If someone had found Lily lost at the amusement park and taken her in for adoption. "Do you know how long Susan's had the girl?" Mrs. Anderson thought for a moment. Must have been about 4 years, give or take. I remember when they first started coming here. Emma was still tiny, must have been about 4 years old. She was such a frightened child, barely spoke. Now she's sharper but still a bit shy. 4 years. That matched perfectly with how long Lily had been missing. Michael felt a mix of relief and anger. Relief because his daughter was alive and seemingly well cared for. Anger because someone had adopted her without checking if she had family searching for her. Jennifer arrived 20 minutes later, still in her hospital nurse uniform. Her eyes were red, as they always were when the topic was Lily. She'd learned to control her hope after so many disappointments. "Where is she?" she asked, scanning the supermarket. "She's already gone, but I found out where she lives. Jennifer, it's her. I'm absolutely sure this time." Jennifer gripped her husband's arm. "Michael, you've said that before." The mark on her forehead, that little scar she got from falling off her bike. This girl has the same mark, in the exact same spot. Jennifer's legs went weak. The mark had been one of the specific characteristics they always mentioned to investigators. It was too small to show up in photos, but unmistakable to those who knew where to look. "Are you sure, is the mark the same?" "Identical." "And she reacted when I said the name Lily. It wasn't my imagination, Jennifer. Our daughter is alive." Jennifer began to cry right there in the middle of Central Market. 5 years of suffering, of guilt, of sleepless nights imagining the worst. 5 years searching every corner, every child's face passing on the street. "What are we going to do?" she asked, wiping her tears. "We'll go to their house. Talk to this Susan, explain the situation. What if she doesn't want to give our daughter back? What if she's raised Emma? I mean, Lily, as if she were her own?" Michael hadn't thought of that. For 5 years, he had only imagined the moment of finding Lily again. He never considered she might have been raised by someone else, that she might have formed bonds with this new family. "We'll figure that out. But first, we need to be absolutely sure it's her." They left the supermarket and walked through the neighborhood streets, asking for directions to Oak Hills. It was a cluster of modest but well-kept houses, clearly home to hard-working, lower-middle-class families. They found house number 47, where Mrs. Anderson had said Susan lived. It was a small blue house with a tiny front garden. Children's clothes hung on the clothesline, and toys were scattered across the yard. Michael took a deep breath before ringing the bell. A woman around 50 opened the door. Her graying hair was tied in a bun, and her expression was tired but kind. "Good afternoon. Are you Susan Miller?" "Yes, I am. Can I help you with something?" "My name is Michael Thompson, and this is my wife Jennifer. We'd like to talk to you about Emma." Susan's face immediately closed off. "What do you want with my daughter?" The word "my" hit Michael like a punch to the gut, but he tried to stay calm. "Mrs. Miller, 5 years ago, our daughter went missing at an amusement park. Today I saw a girl at the supermarket who I believe is our daughter. She said her name is Emma and mentioned she lives with you." Susan glanced nervously around and opened the door wider. "Come in, but quickly." They stepped into the small but cozy living room. Photos of the girl covered the walls, showing the last few years of her life. Michael immediately recognized her little face in every picture, seeing how Lily had grown, how she'd changed. "Where is she?" Jennifer asked, barely containing her emotion. "She's at school. She won't be back until 5. Susan sat in the armchair across from them. "You said you lost a daughter 5 years ago." "Yes, at the downtown amusement park. Her name is Lily. She was 3 at the time." Susan sighed heavily. "I found Emma at a bus station 4 years ago. She was alone, crying, with no adult around. I waited for hours to see if anyone would come for her. No one did." "Why didn't you take her to the police?" Michael asked, trying not to sound accusatory. "I did, but she couldn't say her full name or her parents' names. She just kept repeating Lily over and over. The police thought it was her name. She spent weeks in the shelter and no one came for her. I'd always wanted a daughter. My husband had passed away the year before and I was so alone." Jennifer's chest tightened. "She didn't remember us." "She remembered some things. She talked about a daddy and a mommy but couldn't give details. The psychologist said it was normal given her age and the trauma of being lost. They said it was better not to force the memories." Michael stood up and began pacing the room. "So you knew she had family looking for her?" "We didn't know about any specific family searching. We followed all legal procedures. The court checked if there were any records of a missing child matching her description. Apparently they found nothing." "How could they not find anything?" Jennifer was starting to get upset. "We reported her missing the same day. It was on TV, in the newspapers." Susan seemed genuinely confused. "I didn't see anything on TV, and I watched the news every day, worried someone might come for the girl." Michael stopped pacing. Something was wrong here. They had made a huge scene when Lily disappeared. Every local TV station had covered it. How was it possible Susan hadn't seen anything? "In which city did you find Emma?" "Right here at the local bus station." Michael and Jennifer exchanged glances. They had searched the bus station multiple times. They had shown Lily's photo to every employee. How could she have been there without anyone remembering? "Mrs. Susan," Jennifer said carefully, "we'd really like to see Emma when she gets back from school, just to be sure if she's our daughter." Susan stood up abruptly. "No, absolutely not. Emma has been my daughter for 4 years. She calls me Mom. I raised her, took care of her when she was sick, helped her through the nightmares she had at first. You can't just show up here and take her away." "We don't just want to take her away," Michael tried to calm the situation. "We just want to confirm if she's our daughter. If she is, we can talk about the best way to handle this. The best way is for you to leave and let my family be. Emma is happy here. She has a stable life, does well in school, has friends. Why do you want to ruin that?" Jennifer stood up too. "Because she's our daughter, and we love her. We looked for her every single day for 5 years. We couldn't sleep, couldn't live normally. If she really is our Lily, we have the right to be with her." "Rights?" Susan laughed bitterly. "Where were those rights when she was lost and scared at a bus station? Where were those rights when she cried every night asking for the family that never came for her?" Susan's words cut through Michael like knives. He knew she was partly right. They had failed to protect Lily. They had lost her in the park because of a moment's distraction. But that didn't mean they didn't love her or didn't deserve a second chance. "We made a terrible mistake," Michael admitted. "We got distracted for a few seconds at the park and she disappeared. But we looked for her. We moved heaven and earth to find her. If the legal procedures failed, if the information never reached you, that's not our fault." Susan crossed her arms. "Even if that's true, even if she's biologically yours, Emma is my daughter now, legally and emotionally. She doesn't remember you. To her, I'm her mother. But she reacted when I mentioned the name Lily, Michael insisted. Something stirs in her when she hears that name. Maybe because Lily was the name of the stuffed dog she had when I found her. She lost it in her second year with me. Cried so much over that toy. Michael felt like he'd been slapped. Lily wasn't the name she remembered for herself. It was the name of the toy left from her past life. Jennifer started crying again. Please, Susan, we just want to see her. Talk to her. If she really doesn't remember us, if she's happy here, we'll leave. I don't believe you. If you see she's your daughter, you'll want to take her, and that will destroy her life. She's already been through enough trauma. The conversation was interrupted by the sound of a key in the lock. The door opened and Emma walked in, carrying a small school backpack. She stopped immediately when she saw Michael and Jennifer. Mom, she said, looking at Susan, who are these people? Michael felt his heart shatter when he heard her call Susan Mom, but at the same time, hearing her voice again, seeing her there alive and well, was like a miracle. They're just some people who came for a quick visit, sweetheart, said Susan, walking over to Emma and running her hand through her hair. They're already leaving. Emma looked straight at Michael. You're the man from the market. I am, Michael replied softly. Do you remember me? The girl nodded. You said you lost your daughter. That's right. And I think you might be her. Emma looked confusedly at Susan, then at Jennifer, then back at Michael. I'm not your daughter. My mom is right here. But Jennifer had noticed something that made her heart stop. Emma was wearing a small necklace, almost hidden under her school blouse. A necklace with a moon-shaped pendant that Jennifer herself had given to her daughter on her second birthday. Emma, Jennifer said in a trembling voice, what a beautiful necklace you're wearing. Can I see it? The girl instinctively brought her hand to her chest, protecting the necklace. My mom gave it to me. Yes, I did, Susan confirmed quickly, for her birthday last year. But Jennifer knew she was lying. That necklace was one of a kind. She had had it custom made at a special jeweler, with a personalized engraving on the back of the pendant. If she could see the engraving... Can I take a closer look? It looks just like one I had when I was little. Emma glanced at Susan, asking for permission. Susan seemed nervous but nodded. Emma stepped closer to Jennifer and showed her the necklace. On the back of the pendant, engraved in small but clear letters, it read, To Lily, with eternal love from Mommy. Jennifer let out a sob and fell to her knees in front of the girl. My daughter. My baby. Emma took a step back, startled by Jennifer's reaction. Why is she crying? Michael knelt down too and pointed to the engraving on the necklace. Emma, can you read what it says here? The girl looked and read slowly, To Lily, with eternal love from Mommy. She paused and looked confused. But my name is Emma. Your real name is Lily, Michael said gently. And you're our daughter. Emma began shaking her head. No. My mom is Susan. I live here. This is my home. Susan stepped forward and pulled Emma close. Enough. You're scaring her. Get out of my house now. We're not leaving without our daughter, Michael said, standing up. Then I'll call the police. You're trespassing on my property and disturbing a minor. Jennifer stood up too, still crying. Susan, please, let's do this the right way. Let's all go to the police station together. Let's show the evidence. Let's handle this legally. But don't ask me to leave after 5 years of searching for her. Emma was clearly confused and frightened. Mom, I don't understand. Why are they saying they're my parents? Susan sighed and sat on the couch, pulling Emma onto her lap. Sweetheart, a few years ago, before you came to live with me, you had other parents, but you got lost from them. What do you mean I got lost? You were very little and got separated from them in a crowded place. They couldn't find you, and you couldn't get back to them. Emma processed the information slowly. And they were my parents before? Apparently, yes. Susan admitted reluctantly. But I don't remember them. Michael knelt in front of the couch. Lily. Emma. You were so young when we got separated. It's normal not to remember. But we remember everything about you. You used to love singing that Baby Shark song. You had a blue teddy bear named Blue. You always asked for mac and cheese for dinner. Emma's eyes widened. I still like mac and cheese. And you had a special way of sleeping, Jennifer continued, always on your stomach with one foot sticking out from under the blanket. I still sleep like that, Emma whispered. Susan was visibly nervous. These could just be coincidences. Lots of kids like mac and cheese. What about the necklace? Michael asked. How do you explain the necklace? I bought this necklace at a thrift store. I didn't know it had an engraving. Emma took off the necklace and looked at the engraving again. To Lily. Was that my name before? It's your real name, Jennifer said. Lily Thompson. You were born on March 15, 2017. You have a small mark on your forehead from when you fell off your bike when you were 2. Emma instinctively touched the nearly invisible scar on her forehead. This mark? That's the one. We took you to the hospital that day. You cried a lot, but you were very brave. For a few moments, Emma was silent, processing all that information. Then, to everyone's surprise, she asked, If you're my real parents, why did it take you so long to find me? The question broke Michael's heart. We looked for you every day, sweetheart, every single day. But we didn't know where you were. We thought maybe you had... He stopped, not wanting to scare her further. Thought I had what? Jennifer answered. We thought maybe someone bad had taken you far away. We never imagined you were in the same city, being cared for by someone as kind as Susan. Emma looked at Susan. Did you know they were looking for me? Susan sighed. No, my love. If I'd known, I would have contacted them. But when I found you, you'd been alone for hours. No one knew who you were or where you came from. Where did you find me? At the bus station. You were sitting on a bench, crying, holding that little blue bear. Michael stood up abruptly. A blue bear? She had Blue with her? She did. A small, well-worn blue bear. Where is it now? Jennifer asked. Susan seemed uncomfortable. It got lost 2 years ago. Emma was very sad. It didn't get lost, Emma said quietly. You threw it away when I was sick. You said it was too dirty and the germs could make me worse. Michael felt a surge of anger. That bear was one of the only connections Lily had to her old life, and Susan had gotten rid of it. Why would you do that? He asked, trying to control his tone. She had pneumonia. Susan defended herself. The doctor said old stuffed animals could harbor bacteria. I was trying to protect her. You were trying to erase her memories of her real family, Jennifer accused. That's not true. I took good care of her. She had everything she needed here. Emma got up from Susan's lap. Can you all stop fighting? You're giving me a headache. Everyone fell silent immediately. The girl was clearly overwhelmed by all the emotions and information. Emma, Lily, Michael began. I'm sorry we're arguing. I know this must be very confusing for you. It is confusing. I don't know what to think. She looked at Jennifer. Do you want me back? Jennifer started crying again. More than anything in the world, sweetheart. But what if I don't remember you? What if I don't like living with you? Then we'll work together to help you feel comfortable with us again, Michael promised. We won't force anything. We just want the chance to be with you. Emma looked at Susan. What about you? Will you be sad if I leave? Susan began to cry too. So sad, my love, but if they really are your parents, if you really are the daughter they lost, then you should be with them. Can't I stay with all of you? The innocent question broke the hearts of all the adults present. Emma had formed bonds with Susan, but she was also starting to reconnect with her old memories of Michael and Jennifer. Maybe we can find a way for all of us to stay in your life, Jennifer suggested. Susan took such good care of you all these years. She'll always be special to you. Susan seemed surprised by the suggestion. You'd let me keep seeing her? If Emma wants to, and if you agree to work with us to help her through this transition. Yes, Michael replied. You were her mother for 4 years. That means a lot. Emma seemed more excited about this possibility. Can I think about it? It's a lot to decide right now. Of course you can, Jennifer said. Take all the time you need. But, Michael interjected, we'd like to spend more time with you, so you can get to know us better and so we can be sure you're okay. Susan hesitated. I'm not sure that's a good idea. Please, Susan, Jennifer pleaded. We're not trying to take her away from you all at once. We just want the chance to know our daughter again. Emma looked at Susan with pleading eyes. Can I, Mom? Susan sighed. All right, but slowly. And I want to be there whenever you're with her. Deal, Michael agreed immediately. They spent the rest of the afternoon talking, sharing stories, and trying to piece together the puzzle of the last 5 years. Emma began to relax a little, asking questions about her past life and sharing stories about her present one. That evening, when Michael and Jennifer left, they promised to return the next day. Emma hugged them at the door, a hesitant but genuine embrace. Bye, Dad and Mom, she said, testing the words on her tongue. Michael and Jennifer cried the whole way home. The next day they returned with photo albums from when Lily was a baby and a little girl. Emma looked at each photo with fascination, recognizing some things, but not remembering specific moments. Is this really me? She asked, pointing to a picture of herself playing in the backyard. Yes, it is, Jennifer confirmed. That day you just learned to ride your bike without training wheels. You were so proud. I know how to ride a bike, Emma said excitedly. Mum Susan taught me last year. Mum Susan? Michael asked. That's what she told me to call her when you're here. She said I have 2 families now. It was an unusual arrangement, but it seemed to be working. Over the next few days, Michael and Jennifer spent more time with Emma, always with Susan present. Slowly, the girl began to feel more comfortable with them. A week later, Emma asked to see the house where she had lived before. Michael and Jennifer took her, along with Susan, to their family home. Everything was exactly as it had been 5 years earlier. Her room had become a sort of sanctuary, with all her toys and clothes preserved. Was this my room? Emma asked, looking around. It was. You loved playing with those building blocks on the shelf. Emma walked over to the blocks and, to everyone's surprise, began assembling them in a specific way, building a tower with a pattern that clearly came from muscle memory. I remember this, she whispered. I remember building towers. It was the first clear moment of recovered memory. Jennifer began to cry, and even Susan seemed moved. In the days that followed, more memories began to return. Emma remembered the song Jennifer used to sing to her at bedtime. She remembered the scent of Michael's cologne. She remembered little family rituals they had shared. But she also made it clear that she didn't want to completely abandon the life she had built with Susan. She wanted to stay at the same school, keep the same friends, and see Susan regularly. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, 2 weeks after the reunion, they had to face their first major complication. The social worker assigned to Emma's adoption case, Dr. Catherine Williams, received an anonymous tip that the girl was being claimed by 2 families and requested a full investigation. I need to understand exactly what's happening here, said Dr. Catherine during a meeting at the family court. We have a child who was legally adopted by one family, and now another family is claiming she's their missing biological daughter. Michael presented all the documents: Lily's original birth certificate, medical records, photos, and statements from relatives confirming the girl's identity. Susan provided the adoption paperwork, which had been processed correctly through the legal system. The problem, explained Dr. Catherine, is that neither side did anything intentionally wrong. The Thompsons reported their daughter missing, but for some reason the information never reached the shelter where Emma was initially placed. Susan followed all the legal procedures for adoption. So, what happens now? Asked Jennifer. Now we need to consider the child's best interests. Emma will have to undergo a psychological evaluation to determine what would be least traumatic for her. During the evaluation, Emma spoke with psychologist Dr. Sarah Brown about her feelings regarding the situation. It's confusing, Emma admitted. I like Mom Susan. She took care of me when I was sad and alone, but I also like Daddy Michael and Mommy Jennifer. They make me remember good things I'd forgotten. And where would you like to live? Asked Dr. Sarah. Can I live with all of them? That would be difficult, sweetheart, but maybe we can find a way for you to keep seeing Susan, even if you live with Michael and Jennifer. What if I don't want to choose? You don't have to choose alone. The adults will help decide what's best for you. While waiting for the evaluation results, a new complication arose. Susan's sister, Sharon Miller, found out about the situation and decided to intervene. Susan has always been too naive, Sharon told anyone who would listen. These Thompsons came out of nowhere after 4 years and want to take her child. Where were they when Emma had pneumonia? Where were they when she cried from nightmares? Sharon started a campaign in the neighborhood, telling all the neighbors that strangers were trying to steal Emma from Susan. Soon all of Oak Hills was divided between those who supported Susan and those who believed the girl should return to her biological family. The situation grew even more complicated when Sharon convinced Susan to hire a lawyer, Dr. Robert Davis, who was known for being aggressive in custody cases. "We'll fight for every legal right," Dr. Robert said during a meeting. Susan adopted this child legally. For all legal purposes, she is Emma's mother. These other individuals have no claim. Michael and Jennifer also had to hire a lawyer, Dr. Daniel Wilson, who specialized in family reunification cases. "Your case is strong," Dr. Daniel reassured them. "We have clear evidence that Emma is your biological daughter. The necklace, the physical marks, the memories coming back. Any sensible judge will see there was a system error. But what if the judge decides it's better for Emma to stay where she is?" asked Jennifer, worried. "Then we'll fight for visitation rights, but I don't believe that will happen. Biological parents have very strong rights in the US system. The legal battle has brought tension to everyone, especially to Emma. She started to realize that the adults around her were fighting because of her, and that made her anxious and confused. "Why is everyone mad?" she asked Susan one night after a particularly difficult day. "Adults sometimes don't know how to solve complicated problems," Susan explained. "But we don't want you to worry about this." "But I do worry. What if the judge decides I can't see you anymore? What if he decides I can't see Daddy Michael and Mommy Jennifer anymore?" Susan hugged the girl. "No matter what happens, I'll always love you, sweetheart." Meanwhile, Michael and Jennifer were facing their own struggles. The legal battle was costly, both financially and emotionally. They had exhausted their savings on private investigators over the past 5 years, and now they were spending even more on lawyers. "Sometimes I wonder if we're doing the right thing," Jennifer said one night after a particularly frustrating meeting with their attorney. "Emma seems happy with Susan. Maybe we should just accept that she has a new family." "No," Michael replied firmly. "She's our daughter. We lost her for just a few minutes of carelessness, but that doesn't mean we should give up on her forever. But look at what we're doing to her. She's stressed, confused. The adults around her are constantly fighting. This is temporary. Once everything is settled, we can go back to being a normal family." "And what if we can't? What if she never truly feels comfortable with us? She's had a whole life with Susan." Michael stopped what he was doing and looked at Jennifer. "Are you giving up on her?" "I'm not giving up. I'm trying to think about what's best for her. What's best for her is to be with her real parents. Susan is also a real parent to her now. She raised our daughter when we couldn't. It was a painful but necessary conversation. For 5 years, they had imagined the moment of reuniting with Lily. They never thought it would be so complicated. 3 weeks later, Dr. Catherine called all parties to a meeting to discuss the results of the psychological evaluation. "Emma is a remarkably resilient child," she began. "She has formed strong bonds with Susan during the 4 years they lived together, but she's also reconnecting quickly with Michael and Jennifer as her memories return." "What does this mean in practical terms?" asked Dr. Robert, Susan's lawyer. "It means any decision we make must take both relationships into account. Emma can't simply be taken from one family and given to the other." Dr. Daniel leaned forward. "But surely the rights of the biological parents should take precedence? Under normal circumstances, yes, but this isn't a normal circumstance. We have a child who was lovingly raised by an adoptive family for 4 years, and has formed deep emotional bonds with them. Susan spoke for the first time in the meeting. "All I want is what's best for Emma. If you believe she should go back to Michael and Jennifer, I'll accept it. But please, don't cut me out of her life completely." Michael and Jennifer exchanged glances. For weeks they had seen Susan as the obstacle between them and their daughter. But now, seeing her genuine concern for Emma's well-being, they began to see her differently. We don't want to cut you out of her life either," Jennifer said hesitantly. "You took such good care of our daughter. That's something we'll never forget." Dr. Catherine smiled. "This is very positive, because the recommendation I'll make to the judge is for gradual and shared custody." "What do you mean?" asked Dr. Robert. "Emma would start by spending a few nights a week with Michael and Jennifer, keeping her primary base with Susan. Gradually, if she feels comfortable, she can spend more time with her biological parents. But Susan would remain a constant presence in her life. It was a solution no one had considered, but it made sense for everyone involved." "And what if Emma doesn't want this arrangement?" asked Michael. "Then we'll reassess. But from the conversation I had with her, I think she'd be happy with this setup." 2 weeks later, Judge Richard Johnson approved the recommendation. Emma would start spending 2 nights a week at Michael and Jennifer's house, gradually increasing as she felt comfortable. The first night Emma spent at her biological parents' home was nerve-wracking for everyone. She brought a small suitcase with some clothes and her favorite toys. "Can I call Mom Susan if I miss her?" she asked as soon as she arrived. "Of course you can," Jennifer promised. "And if you want to go back there at any time, we'll take you." Emma explored the house curiously. Everything was exactly as it had been 5 years earlier, including her bedroom. "You didn't change anything?" she asked, touching the toys on the shelf. "We couldn't," Michael admitted. "We always hoped you'd come back." That night, Jennifer sang the lullaby Emma had started to remember. The little girl fell asleep quickly, and for the first time in 5 years, Michael and Jennifer felt their family was whole again. But not everything was easy. Emma woke up crying in the middle of the night, saying she'd had a nightmare and wanted Susan. Jennifer called Susan, who came to pick her up at 2 in the morning. "Maybe it's too soon," Susan said gently. "She needs more time to adjust." It took several attempts before Emma could comfortably spend a full night at Michael and Jennifer's house, but gradually she began to feel at home in both places. A month later, a new complication arose. Emma's school was struggling to understand her family situation. The teachers didn't know who was authorized to pick her up, who should receive her grades, or who to call in an emergency. "I need you to clarify who the primary legal guardian is," said the principal, Mrs. Elizabeth Clark. "I can't have 3 different people picking up the same child without clear documentation." Michael, Jennifer, and Susan had to return to court to settle the legal matters. The judge ruled that Susan would retain primary legal custody, but Michael and Jennifer would have specific visitation rights and could make decisions about education and healthcare jointly with Susan. "It's an unusual arrangement," admitted Judge Richard, "but it's what works best for this particular family." 6 months after the reunion, things finally began to stabilize. Emma was spending 4 nights a week with Michael and Jennifer, and 3 with Susan. She had adjusted well to both environments and seemed genuinely happy. But then another unexpected complication arose. Sharon, Susan's sister, wasn't satisfied with the arrangement and decided to stir up trouble. "Susan is being manipulated," she told anyone who would listen. "Those Thompsons convinced her to give up her rights." Emma was happy before they showed up. Sharon began planting seeds of doubt in Emma's mind whenever she had the chance. "You know your mom Susan gets really sad when you're not here, right?" she said one day when Emma was visiting. "She cries sometimes when she thinks you're not looking." "Mom Susan cries because of me?" Emma asked, worried. "She misses you. She raised you since you were tiny, and now she has to share you with these other people." Emma came home to Michael and Jennifer's house that night, visibly upset. "Daddy, Aunt Sharon said that Mom Susan gets sad when I'm here. Is that true?" Michael sighed. He knew Sharon was causing trouble, but he didn't want to speak badly of her to Emma. "Everyone misses the people they love when they're not around," he explained carefully. "Your mom Jennifer and I miss you too when you're at Susan's house, but that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong." But maybe I should just stay with Mom Susan. Then she wouldn't be sad. Jennifer joined the conversation. Emma, you can ask Susan if she really wants you to stay only with her. I think she'll say she wants you to be happy, even if that means spending time with us too. The next day, Emma asked Susan directly, Mom Susan, do you want me to stop staying at Daddy Michael and Mommy Jennifer's house? Susan looked surprised. Why are you asking that, sweetheart? Aunt Sharon said you get sad when I'm not here. Susan sighed and sat down with Emma. I do miss you when you're not here, yes, but I'm also happy knowing you're getting to know your birth parents and recovering important memories. The sadness I feel is small compared to the happiness of seeing you well and loved. So you don't want me to choose just one family? No, my angel. You have the right to love and be loved by all of us. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for that. That night, Susan had a serious talk with Sharon. You need to stop putting Emma in the middle of your feelings about this situation, she said firmly. She's a child. It's not her responsibility to protect me from sadness. I'm just trying to look out for you, Susan. Those Thompsons are going to take her away completely. And if they do, I'll deal with it. But until then, I'll cherish every moment I have with her, and I won't let my insecurity ruin her happiness. The conversation with Sharon helped, but created tension within Susan's own family. Sharon stopped speaking to her sister, and other relatives took sides in the situation. A year after the reunion, Emma was well settled into her new routine. She had built strong relationships with both families and seemed to be growing up healthy and happy. But then came the ultimate test of the stability they had built. Michael received a job offer in another city, one that would pay enough for him to recover the money they had spent over the years on investigators and lawyers. It's an amazing opportunity, he told Jennifer, but it would mean leaving Emma here. Or we could ask her to come with us and take her away from Susan after everything we've built. It was an impossible dilemma. The job would solve their financial struggles, but it would destroy the delicate balance they had created. Jennifer made the decision for them. You're taking the job, and what do you mean? You're taking the job, you'll work there during the week and come home on weekends. It'll be hard, but our daughter needs stability more than we need to be together every day. Michael was silent for a long moment. You'd do that? Stay here alone with Emma during the week? I'd do anything for our family, and our family now includes Susan too. They talked to Emma about the change. She was sad to hear Michael wouldn't be home every day, but understood the necessity. Will you call me every night? She asked. Every night, Michael promised, and I'll be here every weekend. The new routine was hard for everyone, but it worked. Michael worked in the neighboring town during the week. Jennifer took care of Emma along with Susan, and on weekends, they tried to do special things together as a family. 2 years after their reunion, Emma turned 10. She wanted a birthday party but didn't know how to organize a celebration that included both families. Can I have 2 parties? She asked. One at Mom Susan's house and another at your place. Or we could throw one big party and invite everyone, Jennifer suggested. The idea of a joint celebration was daunting for everyone. It would be the first time both families were together in a social setting, not just to handle legal or practical matters. Susan hesitated. I'm not sure it's a good idea. What if people feel uncomfortable? Then let's keep it small, said Michael. Just us, Emma, and maybe a few of her close friends. In the end, they decided to hold the party at the park where Michael and Jennifer had lost Lily 5 years earlier. It was a symbolic place, representing both pain and hope. The party was small, but special. Emma invited 3 friends from school and both families came together to celebrate. It was awkward at first, but gradually people began to relax. Thank you, Susan said to Michael and Jennifer at the end of the party, for letting me be part of this. Thank you for taking care of our daughter when we couldn't, Jennifer replied. Emma, seeing the adults talking so amicably, smiled and ran to hug them all at once. This is my family, she told her friends. It's complicated, but it's mine. In the months that followed, the 2 families began interacting more naturally. Susan and Jennifer discovered they had a lot in common, both being working women who had sacrificed much for Emma. Michael and Susan developed mutual respect based on their shared love for the girl. but challenges remained. Emma was growing up and starting to ask deeper questions about her past and identity. "Why did I get lost from you that day?" she asked Michael and Jennifer one evening. It was a question they had anticipated for years, but they still didn't know how to answer fully. "We were at the downtown amusement park," Michael explained carefully. "There were so many people, so much noise. You said you wanted cotton candy and I told you to wait. You got upset and ran off. Before I knew it, you had disappeared into the crowd. I ran away because I was angry. You were little and impatient. It's normal for a 3-year-old. But why didn't anyone find me? Why was I lost for so long?" Jennifer sighed. "We searched for you for hours at that park. We called the police, made announcements over the loudspeaker, but somehow you'd already left the park and ended up at the bus station. How did I get there alone? We still don't know exactly. Maybe someone saw you lost and took you there thinking they were helping. Or maybe you followed a group of people without them noticing." Emma took a moment to process this. "What if I hadn't run away? What if I had listened when you told me to wait?" "Oh, sweetheart," Jennifer said, hugging her. "None of this was your fault. You were just a little girl. The responsibility was ours to take care of you and keep you safe. But you couldn't keep me safe." The words stung, but Michael and Jennifer knew they were true. "No, we couldn't," Michael admitted. "And we carry that guilt every day. But we promise it will never happen again." "What if I get lost again?" "You won't," Jennifer promised. "You're big now. You know your full name, our phone numbers, and we'll always keep an eye on you." As Emma grew older, she began to better understand the complexity of her situation. She noticed how Susan sometimes grew sad when she spent too much time with Michael and Jennifer. She saw how her biological parents still struggled with guilt over what had happened, and she began to feel responsible for everyone's happiness. "Sometimes I get tired of having to take care of everyone's feelings," she confessed to Dr. Sarah during a family therapy session. "What do you mean, sweetheart? Everyone wants to make sure I'm happy, but then I worry about doing something that might upset someone. If I say I want to spend more time at Dad Michael's house, Mom Susan gets sad. If I say I miss Mom Susan, Dad Michael gets worried." It was a mature realization for a 10-year-old, and it showed the emotional weight she was carrying. "What would you like to say to the adults in your life?" asked Dr. Sarah. "That I love them all, but sometimes I just want to be a normal kid without worrying about hurting someone's feelings." Dr. Sarah suggested a family therapy session where Emma could express these feelings directly to the adults. It was a difficult but necessary conversation. "We didn't realize we were putting this pressure on you," Susan said, after hearing Emma's feelings. "I'm sorry, sweetheart." "It's our responsibility to manage our own emotions," Jennifer added, "not yours to protect us from sadness or jealousy." Michael promised, "We'll do better so you feel free to just be a kid, without carrying the weight of our grown-up problems." The family therapy helped a lot, but it also revealed new challenges. As Emma entered adolescence, she began questioning her identity and her place in the world more deeply. "Sometimes I don't know who I really am," she said during a session. "Am I Lily Thompson or Emma Miller? Am I the daughter who got lost or the daughter who was found?" "You can be both," Dr. Sarah suggested. "Your identity doesn't have to be limited to just one story." "But it's confusing. At school, when people ask about my family, I don't know what to say. Do I have to explain the whole story every time?" It was a practical issue they hadn't considered. Emma was growing up in a unique family situation, and it wasn't always easy to explain to others. "What would you like to say when people ask about your family?" Jennifer asked. "That I have a big, complicated family, but they all love me very much." "Then that's what you'll say," Michael replied. "And if people want more details, you can choose how much to share." At 12, Emma decided she wanted to legally change her name. Not to go back to just Lily or stay just Emma, but to be both. "I want to be called Lily Emma Thompson Miller," she announced during dinner. "That way I carry both names and both families with me." It was a mature and symbolic decision that moved everyone. The legal process was complicated, but eventually they made the new name official. 3 years after the reunion, when Lily Emma turned 11, she asked to do something special. "I want to go back to the park where you lost me," she told Michael and Jennifer. "I want to see if I can remember anything from that day." The idea frightened her parents, but they knew it was important for her healing. They went to the park together on a Saturday morning. It was less crowded than on that terrible day 5 years earlier. But families still played. Children still ran around. The same general atmosphere. "That's where we were," Michael said, pointing to an area near the carousel. "You wanted cotton candy from that cart over there." Lily Emma walked slowly through the park, trying to spark memories. Suddenly, she stopped near a tree. "I remember this," she said softly. "I remember being scared and running, but I don't remember where I went afterward." Jennifer hugged her daughter. "It doesn't matter if you don't remember everything. What's important is that you're here now, with us." "I forgive you," Lily Emma said suddenly. "What?" asked Michael, surprised. "I forgive you for losing me. I know it wasn't on purpose, and I know you suffered a lot too." It was a moment of deep healing for the whole family. The guilt Michael and Jennifer had carried for 5 years finally began to fade. As Lily Emma grew, the family dynamic continued to evolve. She spent her teenage years navigating between 2 homes, 2 families, 2 identities that gradually merged into one complex, resilient person. At 15, she wrote a school essay about her experience. "My family isn't like others. I have 3 parents, my biological father, my biological mother, and my adoptive mother. Some people find that confusing, but to me, it's normal. I've learned that family isn't just about biology or legality. It's about love, care, and being there for the important moments. I got lost when I was little, but I was found. Not just by my biological parents when we reunited, but by my adoptive mother who found me when I was alone and scared. They all found me at different times, and they all helped me find myself. My story is complicated, but it's mine. And I wouldn't change it for anything." The essay won a prize at school and was read at a ceremony where the whole family was present. Michael, Jennifer, and Susan sitting together in the audience, applauding their shared daughter. When Lily Emma turned 18, she made a decision that surprised everyone. She decided to study psychology, focusing on family therapy and reunification. "I want to help other families who've been through what we went through," she explained. "I want to help children who got lost and parents who are searching. And I want to help families learn that love isn't a limited thing that needs to be divided. Love multiplies when it's shared." At her high school graduation, Lily Emma gave a speech as class valedictorian. She told her story of a girl who got lost and was found, who had to learn to live between 2 families, who discovered that identity is something we build, not just something we inherit. "I've learned that home isn't a place," she told the audience. "Home is the people who love us, who accept us as we are, who help us grow. I'm lucky to have multiple homes, multiple families, multiple kinds of love in my life." In the years that followed, as Lily Emma studied at university, she maintained close relationships with all her parents. Michael had returned to work in the city, Jennifer had become an advocate for families of missing children, and Susan had started volunteering at shelters, helping other lost children. Their story had become known in the local community, not as a TV drama, but as an example of how families can form in unexpected ways and how love can grow even in the most complicated circumstances. When Lily Emma turned 21, she organized a special gathering for everyone who had been important in her journey. Michael, Jennifer, Susan, Dr. Sarah, Dr. Catherine, and even Mrs. Anderson from Central Market, who had become a dear family friend. "I wanted to thank all of you," she said during dinner. "Each of you played an important part in helping me become who I am today. My biological father gave me the gift of determination and stubbornness. My biological mother gave me the gift of compassion and empathy. My adoptive mother gave me the gift of resilience and the ability to bond with new people. And all of you gave me the most important gift, the understanding that family is something we build together, day after day, with love and patience." That night, when everyone had left, Michael, Jennifer, and Susan stayed on the porch talking. 5 years earlier, they had been strangers brought together only by the child they loved. Now they had become something like an extended family, united not just by Lily Emma, but by mutual respect and shared experiences. "Sometimes I think about what would have happened if you'd never found her at the market," Susan said. "She would have grown up happy with you," Jennifer replied. "I'm sure of that. You're a wonderful mother." "But she wouldn't have recovered her memories," Michael added. "She wouldn't have known her full story." "And we wouldn't have learned that love doesn't diminish when it's shared," Susan said. "The three of us loved that girl, and it made her stronger, not more confused." Today, Lily Emma works as a family therapist, specializing in reunification. She helps families who've gone through traumatic separations, children who were adopted and later reunited with biological families, and parents learning to navigate complex custody situations. Her approach is unique because she's lived the experience herself. She understands the confusion, the divided loyalties, the pressure of having to choose between families she loves. And she teaches other families what her own family learned, that love isn't a zero-sum game, that children can thrive in non-traditional family structures, and that healing sometimes comes not from fully resolving a situation, but from learning to live creatively within the complexity. Michael still works in the neighboring town, but now only 3 days a week. Jennifer became the coordinator of a support program for families of missing children. Susan continued volunteering and eventually adopted another child, a boy who had been abandoned under circumstances similar to Emma's. The three families, because now they truly are three interconnected families, gather for every major holiday, birthday, and milestone in Lily Emma's life. When she graduated from college, they were all there. When she defended her thesis on non-traditional family structures and child development, they were in the front row. And when she married at 25, she had 3 parents walk her down the aisle, Michael on one side, Jennifer on the other, and Susan right behind, all 3 hands clasped in hers. During her wedding speech, Lily Emma said, "My story began with loss, but became a story about finding. I got lost in a park when I was 3, but I found a family that showed me home isn't a place, it's a feeling. I found parents who taught me that strength comes from admitting our mistakes and trying to fix them every day. I found a mother who showed me that loving someone sometimes means letting them go so they can grow. And I found a community that taught me family is something we build with intention, patience, and so much love." Today, Lily Emma has children of her own, who call Michael and Jennifer Grandpa and Grandma, and Susan Grandma Susan. The children grow up knowing their mother has a special story, that their family is bigger and more complicated than most, and that this is something to celebrate, not hide. Sometimes, when Lily Emma takes her children to the park, not the same park where she got lost, but other parks in town, she watches them play and remembers her own fragmented childhood, later pieced back together. She thinks about how one terrible afternoon at the market, where an 8-year-old girl picked up fallen fruit, became the foundation of a family that redefined what it means to belong. And when her children ask about the small scar on her forehead, she tells the story of a girl who fell off her bike when she was 2, got lost when she was 3, was found when she was 8, and spent the rest of her life learning that being found isn't a one-time event, but an ongoing process of choosing to belong, choosing to love, choosing to build bridges instead of walls. The story of Lily Emma became legend in Oak Hills. When other families face tough situations, when children feel lost between different worlds, when adults need to learn to share love instead of competing for it, someone always mentions the Thompson-Miller family as proof that creative solutions are possible, that a happy ending doesn't mean all problems disappear, but that everyone learns to live with them lovingly. Mrs. Anderson, now retired from the Central Market, keeps a photo of Lily Emma in her wallet. Not the picture of the scared little girl she met years ago, but a photo of the confident young woman she became, surrounded by all the people who helped her get there. And sometimes, when Mrs. Anderson sees children at the market who seem lost or alone, she remembers the girl who picked up fruit from the ground and the man in a suit who recognized her. And she thinks about how a single moment of attention, a single moment of care, can change the course of an entire life. The story continues because families keep growing, changing, adapting. But the core lesson remains that true love doesn't shrink when it's shared, that identity can be built from fragments of many stories, and that home is anywhere we are fully known and loved anyway. Lily Emma still visits the market where it all began, not to pick up fruit from the floor, but to buy ingredients for the family dinners that happen at least once a month, where 3 generations gather around a table, share stories, make plans, and celebrate the fact that sometimes the best families are the ones that have to be built with extra care, piece by piece, day after day, with lots of love and a little faith that love is always enough. End of story. Now tell us what you thought of the story and where you're watching from. If you have something to share with us, leave your honest words in the comments. Do you think the solution the family found was the best? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories.